On, right?
Yeah.
It's right on.
I'll call this meeting to order. And if we'll all please stand and we'll have a moment of silence. And Greg, I'm going to ask you to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just so everyone knows, if anybody wants to get up front, up and close and see Ron Bacon's face here, you can, but Ron will actually be joining us virtually tonight. Ron, can you say hi to the people? All right, so there's Ron. We did a DNA test on him before he got online, so we're good. Okay, let's go ahead and Crystal will take roll call.
Ron Bacon.
Here.
Rob Dimmitt.
Here.
Ted Metzger.
Present.
Brad Overton.
Here.
Richard Reed.
Present.
Greg Richmond.
Here.
Chris Wetstein.
Here.
And Matt, what is your last name again? I'm sorry.
Caruso.
And Matt Caruso will be sitting in for Cliff tonight. Cliff had a previous engagement. And so number one on our item tonight is approval of minutes from the regular meeting on January 4th, 2023, and also approval of minutes from the executive session memorandum, January 4th, 2023.
Four.
January 4th.
2024. That's a typo.
Oh, it
We
is.
hope so.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
and,
can't think that far back.
and while I'm thinking about it, I know we're not discussing the minutes. Well, yeah, we are. There's a item in one of those salary ordinances that has stated 2022 encumbrance.
Okay.
If you can, I can't remember exactly where that was at. I did not jot it down, but I
It was
did.
in the minutes.
Yeah, it was, no, I'm sorry. That's for today. That's for
Yeah,
tonight's
it's for
meeting.
tonight,
Okay,
yes.
I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. That was great.
Gonna take both of them at the same time.
Yes, if we would, please, if that's okay for everyone. Looking for a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, motion to approve by Greg and seconded by Rick for both dates of the minutes. Calling for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Do we need to do that?
Oh, we need
Oh,
to,
yeah.
we do, yes.
Gosh,
Thanks,
darn.
Rob. All
All
right.
right, here we go.
I'm a greenhorn still, but
Ron Bacon.
Aye.
Rob Dimmitt.
aye.
Ted Metzger.
Aye.
Brad Overton.
Yes.
Richard Reed.
Yes.
Greg Richmond.
Aye.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 7-0. Second item up for discussion tonight is economic development business, an additional appropriation. Warrick Bucks, $100,000. And we have our speaker.
Sure. Good evening, Steve Raleigh, Economic Development Director and Warrick County Cheerleader. I am here tonight for edit appropriation for $100,000 to continue the overwhelmingly successful Warrick Bucks program that supports small businesses and supports shopping and spending in Warrick County. We created Warrick Bucks because, as most of you know, the county has had a lot of tools for big businesses, big employers, tax abatement, TIF districts, et cetera. And we've really had nothing for the little guy and the Main Street businesses and the mom and pop businesses and the family businesses. And so I believe small businesses are the backbone of our community. And that's why we created Warrick Bucks. And we thought this was going to be successful or we wouldn't have done it. But we did not expect it being as successful as it was. And I sent a lot of information to you guys about it and a lot of data. But, you know, one of my favorite things is in customer service is a happy customer might tell a friend, and an unhappy customer tells the world. And you guys as elected officials and a lot of us as county employees, I think can relate to that, because a lot of times we hear from people when something's wrong or something's broken or someone's unhappy. And we heard from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business owners, employers, employees, customers, and residents about the impact of this program. Email, stop-in, calls, Facebook, etc. So the success, the numbers say one thing, but I wanted to give you kind of that touch as well. These are economic development, income tax dollars for economic development. Economic development obviously is programs and policies and actions that improve the economic well-being and the quality of life of a community. I certainly think that this checks all of those boxes. Our Economic Development Board, you guys know you appoint half of that board, unanimously stands behind small businesses and supports the use of these funds. I think if you ask Crystal, she will tell you that we have plenty of these funds. If you've been on my board, you know that we're savers and we don't use it or lose it. We save for projects and things that we think will make a difference in Warrick County. Again, I sent you a lot of information. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I guess I'll leave it there. I know Brad likes me to keep it short, but I like to, make sure you guys have all the information. But I sent you all the links and all the numbers and all the data, and happy to get into it or not, or answer any questions.
So Steve, let me ask you a couple questions,
Sure.
and I guess it'll be contrary to what I've said in the past about keeping it short. So let me just ask you, is this for brick and mortar businesses only, or do they have to, where can you kind of describe what type of
Sure.
businesses, and maybe is there a threshold?
There is, and if you go to Warrick Bucks, there's a merchant guide and is an FAQ, but basically we had to define who can qualify and who can't. So at some point you got to build a box. And so this was for brick and mortar retail commercial locations. You had to have a location that customers can go to and show up to get your service. You had to be located in Warrick County. You had to be brick and mortar. You had to be able to process MasterCards, because I know we call it Warrick Bucks, but it's processed through MasterCard. So it's a MasterCard gift card. You had to be registered with the Secretary of State in Indiana, because we've had that small business situation before. And although I'm sure the neighbors appreciate my daughter babysitting for her, it's not a small business. But you do have people that are, making art and meeting people at Walmart and other things that we just cannot draw a box around. So to answer your question, those are the rules. Another thing I should say is that you can't be a corporately owned business as well. We allowed locally owned franchises, but not corporately owned franchises. So no offense to CVS or whoever, you can't qualify even if you're a retail shop or business. Restaurants, retailers, entertainment venues, and retail service providers all qualified. We had 80 merchants that are in the program. If you look at the map online, you'll see that they are across the county. Obviously, we have a lot of businesses centered in the square in Boonville and along 62 and along 66 and in downtown Newburgh. But we reached out I called every single community leader in Linville, Elberfeld, Chandler, etc., to push it out. We went door knocking on the square and in Newburgh and along 66 to make sure everybody that we could was told about this. And so I think 80 is a big number for Warrick County. Is there room for more? Yeah, there is. And we're going to do another initiative again to make sure merchants are aware of it, because we had merchants sign up halfway through the year as soon as they did find out about it. And so does that kind of answer your question
It
with the box
does.
that we?
It does, and I
enjoy.
also just like the fact of what you said at the beginning was how this is helping out small businesses, because I know that oftentimes we're seeing your large corporations and they need some assistance with things as well, but I think when we can bring in Steve's Snack Shack and Brad's Barbecue and get those things
Sounds
up
good.
and going. Yeah. I think that's something that I can physically see something in my hands when I'm not working at some larger corporation. So
And economic development looks different, like to the big employers and stuff, they have different needs than the small businesses. And a program that a 3-person economic development department could tackle for hundreds and hundreds of small businesses and be effective and be accountable and be trackable, this was it. We built all the graphics, the websites, the logos, the FAQs, all in-house because we have that capability. You know, we didn't pay people to do any of that stuff that you saw. So we did that all internally. It's something that we could bite off when we thought about how we can make the biggest impact for our small business community.
anybody else have any comments or questions for
You
Steve?
indicated that it will not affect the lit money for safety things for the farm.
For that as well, again, you can listen to me. We look at the budgets and talk to Baker Tilly probably more than anyone in the county.
Yeah.
Because we're planning, but you can certainly talk to Crystal that
Well, she said it was okay too.
it does not. There's already a placeholder in economic development in our budget to support any gap that there is in the debt service when it comes to that project. And economic development's been used for projects like that, the courthouse remodel and other things that are good for Warrick County. They may not really fit in the economic development budget, but good for Warrick County is good for Warrick County. So all of us that have looked at everything, there's no concern at all.
And when will that start?
Immediately. And so we've gotten a lot of calls about what's going on and what's the next Warrick Bucks thing and stuff like that. So I'm not going to announce it here tonight, but basically, Rick, we would look at a couple of the big times where it can make a difference, spread it out through 2 or 3 times through the year to keep this going and to keep the excitement and keep those dollars being used and circulated through Warrick County.
You think the 100,000 will be good for a couple of different times? Or?
So I do. I'm a big believer in the smallest effective dose. And so we could do double, triple this as well. I mean, we really could. Depends what kind of impact you want to have. I wanted to make an ask that I thought was fair and that we could prove the results of. So it's kind of an open-ended question.
Let me ask you one other question, Stephen. This might be just wandering off a little bit, but as far as promoting this, where, like, you know, for like my dad, he's not on social media. Where's he going to
It's
find
really tough. And again, that goes back into bandwidth and everything else. We push it through. There's some of the most popular and shared social media posts. So maybe your neighbor knows about it or another person shares it on something that you're following. We also created, you can go across the street for coffee and you will see it right next to the register. You will see we created laminated printouts that businesses can put on their doors that say Warrick Bucks accepted here. And so it starts the conversation, and a lot of the actual businesses in Warrick County were helping spread the message, making sure that customers knew.
Oh, okay.
That it was
that
available.
makes
So,
sense as well. Okay.
If we get going really quickly, we do have, for something completely differently, we've got a couple minutes on radio next week, and we can certainly throw it in there and spread the word a little bit if
We
Dad
could put
listens
it out
to
for
radio.
Valentine's Day coming up.
I know.
There we go.
I know.
Where you point across the street, does that include alcohol?
So that's a good question. If you are a restaurant, Rick, it includes whatever the restaurant is serving. If you think French fries or other things are bad, I can't,
No.
help
I'm
you with
just
that.
curious.
But as there's not a liquor store or something like that on there if you have a question. But if you go into any place to have dinner, I guess the question would be yes, it would cover your glass of wine or whatever you're having.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Ron, did you have anything?
No, I'm on economic development and we've discussed it at length and know what happened. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept, to approve the $100,000.
All right.
Second.
There's a motion by Rob Dimmitt and a second by Greg Richmond. I don't know why I'm calling out your last names.
And then I'll roll call.
And then,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Ron Bacon,
Aye.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Nay.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Yes.
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries 6-1, and the 1 nay is Ted Metzger.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Keep your
you,
eyes
Steve.
peeled. Brad, we had that one letter. Are you just going to get that signed tonight? That
Oh,
broadband
yes,
letter.
yes. Have
or-
you given that to
Yes,
Crystal?
I have it. If you want to go ahead and discuss
And
it.
so
Yeah, would
if you
you-
want me to do a minute, or if you just want to
Yes,
get.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I completely, that just slipped my mind. I
Okay,
apologize.
very quickly, and we've done this in the past. There's different rounds of next level broadband funding, which are state dollars to keep connecting addresses here in Warrick County. We have been successful in the third round. We were not successful in the first couple rounds. There are a couple of providers going after funding in this round 4. There are about 680 addresses available so that the state dollars pick up those addresses. A lot of them are around the eastern border of Warrick County, which are the toughest and most rural and hardest addresses to get to. I have a letter of support. The providers are not asking us for any funding or anything else. Those letters of support then go to the Department of Broadband here in Indiana so that we get awarded some of those funds. And more is better. And so that's what is in front of you. It's not an official motion or anything. You're just signing a letter of support.
And I apologize. Steve had mentioned that to me a week or so ago, and I meant to mention that to you all before the meeting tonight, and I just completely slipped my mind. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thanks
I'll
a
pick
lot,
it up
Steve.
afterwards. Thanks, guys.
all right. Moving on to item number 3, it's an additional appropriation, property reassessment, contractual services, $15,000. And
Good evening, Sarah Redmond.
Sarah Redmond.
Yes, I do have some papers.
I got it. Sarah.
All that is discussing tax dollars that we've collected since the case that went to the Indiana Tax Court. That'll be in front of you, and we are going to be addressing that again this year. So I'm asking for $15,000, but I will be back. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you. I spoke to the attorneys. We use Howler and Colvin out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, Sarah Schreiber and Mark Giaquinta. They are both litigators in property tax. They're specialists in it. Obviously, we don't have a lot of specialists done this way in that type of practice, but they do a reduced rate for all county offices. I know it's not that much, but it's like, for instance, Sarah is $270 an hour and her regular fee is $310 an hour. Mark Giaquinta, who I prefer to use Sarah, she is a little cheaper, but he's $300 an hour versus his regular rate of $400. So we will be addressing the value of the facility this year. They are taking us to the IBTR for that, and they are also going to be filing for another exemption. And we won this case several years ago. You know that it drug on from 2015. Many of you were here. And I think, speaking to Mr. Raleigh, I think we spent between $200,000 and $250,000 to win that case. And they've used that case as precedence across the state of Indiana. And every conference I go to, they thank Warrick County for stepping up and actually taking it on. And so it's very appreciated.
Do you give them our Venmo as well?
Absolutely. Sure. So ideally, 15,000 would really get me started with discussions and avenues to go. And they did point out that because a lot of the discovery and the depositions were done in the first case, a lot of that can be just kind of brought forth again. So there's not all the expense that we encountered the first time.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Sarah or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the 15,000.
Second.
I have a motion from Rob and a second from Rick.
Roll
And
call.
we'll take a roll call vote. Mrs. Pellis?
Ron Bacon,
Yes.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Yes.
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
All right. The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
How's your appeals? You got all those settled yet?
Yes.
Good.
Except
All right, number 4 tonight is an additional appropriation, Superior Court 1 business interpreter, $3,000.
Hi.
Hello.
Ellen Sprinkle, employee of Warwick Superior Court Number 1. Judge Weiberg sends her regrets she couldn't be here tonight. We're asking for an appropriation of $3,000. As I put in the explanation, we had grants for years. They were lump sums deposited into a fund. We expended all of those. The new process for grant application is very taxing. It requires us to have a language access plan through all 3 courts. And as you're probably aware, up until probably right now, we haven't really had much agreement between the 3 courts to create such a plan. We are looking at that so we can do those grant opportunities, but the interpreters that we would have to use are very limited. I ran a search for the Spanish interpreters for the area. There was one in Evansville that's willing to come here, and there's one in Owensboro, and the rest of them, the closest ones are near Louisville, and then they're farther out. So we do have one that we typically use. She's not certified, but she's reliable. We like her. We think she's fair, and all the judges are pleased with her as being a neutral interpreter that we're required to provide.
I'm just curious, do we have, is this a line item anywhere for, I mean, do we budget anything for this at all?
There's a line item that exists. I
We
don't know
did
how
not,
much-
so
I just wondered if there was anything budgeted for this, because this seems like this wouldn't be an uncommon occurrence to require an
Right.
interpreter.
So last year, we still had grant funds.
Oh,
And we
you just
expended
said
those
that.
and we asked
Sorry.
for an appropriation because we had a trial with a Mandarin interpreter, which didn't end up occurring last year. So it happened last Friday, and unfortunately, and it was a certified interpreter. There are only 4 in the registry of interpreters that are certified for Indiana, and the bill came to $1869.46 rather than the $13 that they quoted us last year because the prices went up. So we're already, the 3 we've asked for, we would already have expended $1869 of that.
Okay, so it looks like something we may want to think about come the fall as well.
Right, I think we
because-
did put it in our budget request, but it wasn't approved. So I assumed it was because we hadn't really had it in there before as a budget item.
You should.
Instead, it was just an additional.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you for that explanation. Does anyone-
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Rick and a second by Ted. Any discussion?
Yeah, just one thing, I guess, is, I don't really know much about this, but I believe the hospitals use a call-in interpreter sometimes. Is that?
So there's a language line that the state provides us, but that's only for initial, when someone comes to court and they don't speak English, we have a card that has all the different languages and they can point to it. We call the language line, they have interpreters available, but it's not for trial purposes, it's not for testimony purposes, it's just to tell them when their next court date is or what's gonna happen. It's not available for what we need it to, for when they come to court for trial or sentencing or something.
So are you saying you can use a call-in, but only for certain things?
Right.
Not in the actual trial or whatever?
Right, no, yeah, if someone, we've had that come in where they didn't speak English and we had that card and they pointed to some language and they were able to tell them to come back. Prior to that, we used to stand there and the first time we had Spanish speaking person, we're like, mañana, like we'll address this tomorrow. That's all we knew. And unfortunately, it's early on, but so it's very helpful to have that, but it is not available for use during trials or significant hearings.
Just curious. Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Roll call.
All right, go ahead.
Ron Bacon,
Yes.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton.
Yes.
Richard Reed.
Aye.
Greg Richmond.
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Good luck.
Okay, item number 5A is a reduction under commissioner business. And all right, let's go ahead and, sorry.
Heather Soberg, County Administrator. I think everyone's familiar from our conversations and discussion in the meeting last month about what's going on here as far as the movement from the Health Department to Commissioners for Animal Control and the need then for those funds to be able to support that department.
And this first item, 5A, is the reduction of those salaries from the health department, correct?
Not just salaries, but some of the line items also.
Okay.
I'm not so sure you shouldn't You don't have to like read the numbers, but maybe read the line item names.
Yep, I definitely can do that.
Yeah.
The first item on the list is Pound Keeper, $10,000. Second item is Part-Time Animal Control, $5,000. Animal Control Officer, $51,334. 2 Assistant Animal Control Officers, $80,168. Overtime Animal Control, $5,000. Gas, Oil, and Lube, $6,000. Animal Control Expense, $5,000. Uniforms Animal Control, $628. Freight and Express, $1,100. Communication Animal Control, $3,622. Utilities, $4,000. Animal Control Building Maintenance, $600. Repairs Animal Control, $2,917, for a total of $175,369.
And those are reductions.
Yes, those are reductions. All right, any discussion about those reductions on this particular item 5A?
Motion approved.
All right, there's a motion to approve by Greg. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Rob. And we need a
Oh,
roll call vote,
Sorry.
please.
Ron Bacon,
Yes.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Aye.
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Sweatstein.
Yes.
All right, the motion for the reduction passes 7-0. All right, and then the next item on the agenda is item 5B, additional appropriation to the commissioner budget. And I'll go ahead and read these items as well, and then if you can discuss those after I've done that, since
Before you start reading,
sorry.
the 2 assistant animal control officers, there was a typo, and that should be 80,168.
And one more, just if it helps anything at all.
okay.
No, that 51,534 for the animal control officer was with longevity, and we no longer need that, so it's closer to 49,700.
Okay, so
For
the animal control officer,
Yes,
49.
it's like 49,684, but that's just.
Could
off
we
the top
call
of
it
my head.
49,700?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm good with that.
Or if it was 684, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay, I'll just read these into the minutes. Pound Keeper, $10,000. Part-time Animal Control, $5,000. Animal Control Officer, approximately $49,700. 2 Assistant Animal Control Officers, $80,168. Overtime Animal Control, $5,000. Gas, Oil, and Lube, $6,000. Animal Control Expense, $5,000. Animal Food, $5,000. Uniforms Animal Control, $628. Freight and Express, $1,100. Communication Animal Control, $3,622. Utilities, $4,000. AC Health Testing, $250. Animal Control Building Maintenance, $600. Repairs Animal Control, $2,917. All right, and I'll go ahead and open this up. Heather, did you have anything you'd like to say first before we
Yeah.
open up for discussion?
I didn't think to say that before. The pound keeper and the part-time animal control to me is the same thing. So if we want to combine that to one, I mean, it's basically pound keepers. When we put a pound keeper in place, it's a
Right.
part-time person.
That
So I
is
don't know if we
correct.
wanted to just kind of create one line
So
for that
just
instead
not, okay.
but make
Would
that
you
all
prefer
50,000
it to
in
be pound
one.
keeper or part-time animal control?
I think part-time animal controls.
Okay, so remove that. And so then part-time animal control would be 10,500 requests then.
15,000.
15,000, yes.
All right, and I don't know if I mentioned the total, but it's $180,637 with that slight adjustment for the animal control officer. And I think there was the typo in the 2 assistant animal control officers, but we'll make those adjustments.
So it's basically the same list, but you got animal food for
Animal food.
5,000
Mhm.
and also AC health testing. What is that?
Like if an ant, like if there's a bite or something, they have
Yep.
to send it off to be tested. Like the animal has to go out to be tested to see if it had.
If you're like me, Rick, initially I was thinking air conditioning when
Yeah,
I saw
that's
AC.
definitely-
I was
what I was thinking.
unsure what that was, if we were testing for Legionnaire's
That's
disease or what we were doing. All right, what comments do we have? I'm sure we have some discussion here if we like. If not, entertain a motion as well.
I'd like to make,
Greg?
Greg?
Do we have salary ordinances?
Yeah, it's next.
Okay.
It's next.
okay, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to deny.
All right, there's a motion to deny by Ted. Is there a second?
Why are you denying? What are you going to keep it on the?
I think we
general
need,
budget?
do we need the second
Yes,
before
we
we can
need a second.
discuss?
Okay.
Right.
I'll second it.
All right, and there's a second on the floor by Rick. And now, Rick, I believe you had a question?
Is that going to be a general fund for us to still manage instead of going back to the commissioners?
No, it'll go back to the commissioner's budget. I don't understand. So it'd just come out of the
Come-
commissioner's budget instead of the general fund.
Well, it'll come out
Well,
as.
so look, could I try to clarify just a
Sure.
bit? So if if Ted's motion passes with Rick's second, then the funding will have to be allocated from the existing commissioner's budget. There won't be any additional appropriation out of county general. So they'll have to operate with their existing dollar amounts that they have. We're not giving them anything additional. I believe
is
that's
correct. Yes.
They will still get paid.
They will still get paid by
What-
doing transfers.
Yes, but remember that when we met last month, when we did the salary ordinance to move the animal control officer and the assistant animal control officers and the overtime, we made a transfer out of health insurance to cover that. So at the very least, I would request considering funding the salaries for the employees so that we can put the money back in health insurance where it belongs.
You want to modify?
I think it's pretty important to fund the salaries and the wages, whatever.
From what I understand, they will get paid. We'll just have to go back later on in the year and add money to the healthcare
If necessary.
if necessary,
And that's-
correct?
And that's, yes, but I just wanted you to know where we took that money from so that you're aware that that's.
Right. We can put it back later and everybody will still get paid.
Yeah, I don't know how can we do some kind of a hybrid on this? Do we do, as far as,
Certainly. I mean,
After
you
this
can,
vote,
Well, yeah, well.
yeah,
okay.
after this vote, you can.
yeah. Like, for example, if this vote doesn't pass and you want to do some sort of a hybrid, absolutely make that motion.
And I'm just going to voice, my concern with this, looking for this additional appropriation. I just, we don't make adjustments to personnel typically, or hardly ever, outside of budget session. And this is an obvious adjustment to personnel and other items as well, outside of budget and outside of any personnel discussions. And that is one of my biggest concerns that I have with this, is this was done after everything had been signed and sealed and approved when it comes in relationship to the budget. So those are my concerns with asking for this additional money outside of the commissioner's budget.
Heather, can I ask, has there been any discussion that you're aware of with the commissioners about, I'm concerned that we want to make sure the salaries are paid and everything. And I don't really know what I'm asking here, but when I've talked to them, it seemed to me like they just would kind of like to have it not be managing all of this. Maybe, I know they have to manage it, but bringing it before council for additional appropriations if needed.
And honestly, we don't really know what it's going to take to run animal control. I mean, we don't have numbers on how much food costs and how much repairs are and those sorts of things. And it's going to be a gamble depending on how many animals you have there. So this is definitely going to be a learning year for us. I mean, I think we could easily manage shifting by transfer for this year and then coming back and saying, hey, we borrowed from here to do this and we'd like to replenish that. And I have no problem coming to visit you every month if that helps.
Heather, as
But-
long as you're bringing this sunny disposition, I don't mind seeing you every month.
I'll do my best.
All right.
So if we did approve this money would be coming from our general fund though, is that correct?
Correct. It comes from the county general fund, not from the health fund.
Right.
That health money stays in the health department budget. Or not the budget, but the cash.
And how much money is there? Is it, we budget where it's kind of a tight,
This
I mean,
reduction would go in there, is that right?
the reduction would stay in the health cash.
Yes, stay in the,
Right,
yes.
correct. The additional appropriation comes from the county general fund, in which there are several departments that are paid out of county general. Courts, the sheriff, the jail, just several. And you do have to manage that closer than, say, other funds.
But Heather, there is money within like numbered line items where these transfers can occur.
Absolutely. And we'll just monitor that and see what our needs are as the year progresses.
And try to put together a really good budget
Absolutely.
going forward, right?
This will be a learning curve for everyone involved.
Right, we're kind of punting the ball down the field here, not taking it directly out of general right away.
Yeah.
All right.
Giving us some time, basically.
And, yeah.
Ultimately,
Everybody,
is coming out of general, ultimately. I
right,
mean,
everybody will still get paid.
All right. Any other discussion?
Roll call?
Could restate the motion so I
Oh,
know.
sorry.
Simply to deny.
Okay, are we ready for roll call?
I believe so, because there was, yeah.
Ron Bacon,
I'm going to vote aye, and I'm in agreement that we need to, since we really don't know what it's going to cost and so forth, and how it's going to be managed, we will have this first 6 months to look at that and then do it at budget time. So I vote aye.
okay. Rob Dimmitt,
yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Yes.
Greg Richmond,
No.
Chris Wetstein.
No.
All right, the motion passes 5-2. The two nays are Greg Richmond and Chris Wetstein.
Now, can we stay on this topic here? Can I make a motion that we approve for the wages part of it? That's my concern, guys. I know, I heard they're gonna get paid regardless, right?
I think it was all denied.
Well, what are we talking about? I was asked if I could do a hybrid.
Well,
We could do-
if the.
Matt, let me ask, that motion to deny 5B
It's
passed.
approved. So
So-
5B is denied,
So 5B was
and
denied.
that's fine.
Correct.
So what's
If-
the protocol here, if you don't mind just walking us through that for just a
Yeah,
second?
if Chris would like to make a motion and gets a second for some sort of modified action, then that can go forward with a vote.
Okay.
Then in that case, I would like to make a motion to modify item 5B, I believe it is, where all items are denied with the exception of those relating to wages and salaries.
So that would be any line item that begins with a 1,000. So 1,000.1, something, one of those.
1,000.1. Is that-
Yeah, like-
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, I see.
1, 2,
Five.
3, 4, 5 of them.
I don't see the fifth. Oh, there is. Okay, sorry. So I'd like to, I guess, our motion to approve items,
Still, I see 4.
I could read them off, I guess, but,
No, that's good enough.
okay, just to,
For a total amount of how much?
I don't want to have to come after to get money. I want to be paid.
I don't have my calculator or my phone to add them up. So if somebody wants to add them up, that's fine.
Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
Brad's on it.
They can get paid.
100,168,
They're gonna get paid.
I think. There's only 4 of them, right?
Not if we don't.
There's
move
five.
money
Took me a
over.
second to find.
Okay, let's-
They're all in a row there.
Well,
10,000,
Yeah, this one.
5,000.
The 10,005 was
49.7.
combined into one.
And
80,
80,186. 1, 2, 3,
4.
4.
I went to Tennyson,
Overtime, nope.
but,
It's
Here's
oh,
one. 5, overtime animal control.
okay.
I have a total,
168, not
Thank you,
186.
Crystal. Sorry.
160, yeah.
Rob,
what was the total?
that?
that
I
one's
forgot the 49,000.
They said 168. I don't have anything to add it with unless,
is, yeah, 168.
I mean, I could just sit
Correct.
here and calculate it, but
Do you want my calculator? There you go.
it's okay. I tried.
I think we would probably be safe in saying the first 5 items that are
Yes.
there, and we could calculate that. I think we all would trust the calculations afterwards, if that's okay with everybody. We're good with that? Okay, I have a motion by Chris. Is there a second to pass the first 5 items, or possibly the pound keeper and part-time animal controller combined? But for the sake of this, let's say the first 5 items on item 5B. Chris has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
So it's 149.
All right. I'll call for a roll call vote, please.
Ron Bacon,
Abstain.
Rob Dimmitt,
Nay.
Ted Metzger,
Nay.
Brad Overton,
Nay.
Richard Reed,
No,
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
All right, the motion fails with 4 nays. The nays are myself, Brad Overton, Rick Reed, Ted Metzger, and Rob Dimmitt.
And Ron abstained, right?
And Ron abstained. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
So that's 4, 2, and 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the salary ordinance 5C is zeroing out pound keeper, part-time animal control, then pound keeper 10,000 and part-time animal control 5,000. And since we're not, do we need to make, since we're not,
You do need
We
to
do need the
approve
salary
these, yes,
ordinance,
in
okay.
order for them to pay the pound keeper and
Okay.
part-time animal control out of that budget.
all right, thank you. Looking for a motion, or looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
There's a motion by Ted
second.
and a second by Rick, and I'll open it up for discussion.
That 10 and 5 is combined into part-time animal control.
Right.
Correct. yeah.
And that will be their choice to do that with a transfer, so.
Any discussion?
Roll call. Ron Bacon,
Aye.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Yes.
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Heather. All right, okay, these are all under the heading of handbook policy, reimbursements, transfers, or corrections. All items listed have been checked for accuracy and can be voted under one motion.
Motion approved based on handbook.
Second.
And I think we at least read through these in the
Yeah, if you
past,
just
I'm
want to
not
read,
mistaken.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, you probably should.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and read through those at this time. We do have a motion though by, was that from you, Rick?
Yes.
And a second by Ted.
Correct.
All right, and I'm just gonna read through those. Contractual services, 100,000. Fleet manager, 4,625. Fleet manager, retiree payout, 4,624.08. Assistant superintendent, $2,069.92. Contractual services, $100,000. Deputy clerk, $1,582. Deputy clerk, $3,479.70. An additional appropriation of VaxCare, $10,453. Any comments or questions about any of those? All right, we have a motion on the floor by Rick and a second by Ted. Roll call vote, please.
Sorry. Ron Bacon,
Yes.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton.
Yes.
Richard Reed.
Aye.
Greg Richmond.
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. All right, item number 7 on tonight's agenda is sheriff business, commissary report, and jail report.
Sheriff Mike Wilder. I sent the annual commissary report. If there's any questions, there's really nothing to read if y'all got it, but I mean, if there was a question or anything, I'll be happy to answer it if anybody after.
It looked very healthy.
We, yeah, it's doing pretty good. And, I've got trying to, you never know when something comes up that's not in budget. That's nice to have that. And obviously we know potentially with our, build a new jail here that there's some things that we might be able to help maybe in the future with. So.
Excellent.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for the sheriff?
Just a comment to say that I found very helpful to read this. I know it's a form that you use each year, but the information is really, really good.
Is that the jail report you're speaking
Jail
of?
report is what I'm speaking
Thank
of.
you. Yeah, that, I don't know if you guys have, I feel like we've included that in the past. I'm required to send that to the judge and some stuff, but I wanted to share it with everyone. So I think I have in the past too, but yeah,
Very
so
nice.
thank you.
It's amazing how much healthcare costs.
Yeah.
But, it is nothing we can do, I guess. But it's,
It's unfortunate. So a lot of people that come in there don't have the greatest health, and a lot of them don't seek treatment until they come into custody. So we sometimes are, spending more on, that inmate than maybe they would on themselves, but that's the requirement by law. So that's.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I don't even know if we needed a,
It's fine.
yeah, I think it was just, we
just
just like the looks of it, so.
just information.
I think we're
Information.
good. Look good, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Give a thumbs up for
Thanks,
that
Sheriff.
one. Thanks a lot. All right, item number 8 under council business is resolution encumbrance.
Yes, I sent the resolution for encumbrances from the list that the auditor's office gave me. This is basically just approving the encumbrances that people paid some of the claims at the end of the year from last year's budget, so they had to carry the money forward. And it should be resolution number 2024-02, Christine? Yes. And it is titled, because I'm going to read it because I made a typo. So a resolution of the County Council of Warrick County, Indiana, approving encumbrances from the 2023 fiscal year.
I'm sorry, what resolution number was that?
2.
Thank you. All right, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rick and
Second.
second by Ted. And any discussion? All right, no discussion. Let's have that roll call vote.
Ron Bacon?
Am I allowed to vote on resolutions?
Yes.
Okay, then I vote aye.
Rob Dimmitt?
Yes.
Ted Metzger?
Aye.
Brad Overton?
Yes.
Richard Reed?
Aye.
Greg Richmond?
Yes.
Chris Wetstein?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
I have other business.
I believe you have given us some other business.
Okay, so the first thing I have, Heather may want to get up and speak to. It is a transfer request. And here, take it. I'll let you go.
Yes, this is for the statewide E911 fund to transfer from contractual services to equipment. It's an out-of-line transfer, but an invoice that we have to pay for out of that fund is for equipment. There is no contract for it, so need to put money where we can use it.
And then, just so you know, for the record, it is from contractual services, $37,178.40 to equipment, $37,178.40.
So you bought a piece of equipment or
This was radios, correct me if I'm
Radios.
wrong, Sheriff. This was radios that they actually ordered last year that they were finally able to get picked up.
Right.
So
All right, looking for a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Greg. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion by Greg and a second by Chris.
Roll call.
Do we have any discussion?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, seeing no discussion. Roll calls. Yeah.
Ron Bacon,
Yes.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Aye.
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And then the other item under other business, we have a salary ordinance that would have been listed under the consensus agenda, but it was turned in a little late for $248.46 for someone that is retiring.
And this is a handbook item, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, looking for a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Rick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Rick and a second by Rob. Any discussion? All right, seeing or hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Ron Bacon,
Yes.
Rob Dimmitt,
Yes.
Ted Metzger,
Aye.
Brad Overton,
Yes.
Richard Reed,
Yes.
Greg Richmond,
Yes.
Chris Wetstein.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
The last item I have is, we probably need to hold an executive session. I talked with Cliff about this today. And we were going to shoot for next Wednesday night, which would be, what is that? What is next
7th,
Wednesday?
February 7th.
The 7th. And we were thinking 4 PM, if that would work for everyone.
I'm gonna be cool. Dennis appointment's at 1. Never mind.
Okay,
That's right.
It works good for me.
okay.
And Ron, did you hear that?
Yeah, he's out of town.
I'm out of town until the 19th. I won't be
Okay.
back in town till the 19th,
Okay.
just to let you know that. So
All
not
right.
saying you can't have the session, but if it can wait, I would prefer that, but otherwise I won't be able to attend.
I mean, we probably need to go ahead with it.
Yeah, we'll definitely loop you in on that.
Okay.
So I was
That'd be
gonna ask, he can be in on that.
Yep.
That way.
Okay, if everyone's good, that was February the 7th
At
at
4
4
p.m.
PM.
And I will post this today.
All right, thank you. All right, was there anything on the, from the speakers? No one? Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Go with a motion to adjourn.
Someone's giving us a motion to adjourn, Rick, and that would be you.
I can second that.
And we got a second by Ted.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna just take a wild guess and say that's gonna be,
It was unanimous.
all right,
Okay.
everybody agree?
Yes.
All right. All right. All right, thanks a lot, Ron. Have a good time.
You did a good job today.
Bye, Ron.
Brad.
Thanks.
I'm sitting here thinking the exact same thing. Very presidential.
Thank you. I was listening to Taylor Swift before I got here. It calmed me down.
That would do brain damage.
Huh?
That would give you
Taylor
brain-
Swift's good. She's good.
I like her. I think she's great.
Oh my gosh, her stuff's fantastic.
You gotta give it to her, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no, she's got a beautiful voice.
And her friends are watching Chiefs games.
Tell me about it. Tomorrow's
I'm like,
You gotta give credit where credit's
the
due.
people that are fussing about that, I'm just like, just shut up. Do you not like, if it was your daughter and their boyfriend at a high school game, would you care? If they were the prom queen?
Exactly. And then right nay for the one.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't disapprove everything. Okay, so you would sign Greg Richmond, and on nay, you would put like Commissioners 5B. Okay,
Commissioners 5B over
right,
here.
and you need to sign yes.
Me and you.